Hello and welcome back to Rooted in the Seasons, where ancient wisdom meets modern life with a strong cup of tea and practical tools for real busy women. I'm Katya Patel, Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle educator, yoga teacher, and teacher mentor. I help women find more calm and clarity through small daily rituals, seasonal rhythm, and timeless wisdom that actually fits into real life. This podcast is part of a wider body of work I offer, including my course, Stress Less, Live More, where we explore rhythm, nervous system support, and daily practices in a deeper, more structured way. Let me start by asking you a question. Have you said to yourself recently something like this? I don't know what it is, but lately I feel heavier. Not exhausted, not overwhelmed, just slower. Maybe your face looks a little puffy in the morning. Maybe your rings feel slightly tighter. Your digestion feels slower than it did a few weeks ago. And the strange thing is, it's spring. Shouldn't you feel lighter? From an Ayurvedic perspective, what you're experiencing is actually very typical for this time of the year. And there's also an interesting reason why many women notice more puffiness or fluid retention in spring. But we'll come back to that in a moment. First, let's talk about Kapha. What is Kapha? In Ayurveda, we talk about 3 regulating energies in the body. And you might know them. They are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Kapha is made of earth and water elements. It's a part of you that gives structure, stability, endurance, and resilience as well. Kapha lubricates your joints. It protects the lining of your stomach. It keeps your lungs and tissues nourished. Without Kapha, nothing would hold together. So Kapha is not something we want to get rid of. It's essential. Kapha has qualities like the others too. Kapha is heavy, slow, cool, moist, dense, and steady. And these qualities show up in the body and in the mind. When Kapha is balanced, it gives you calmness, resilience, and emotional steadiness. When Kapha accumulates, it can start to feel more like stagnation. Why spring feels different then, you ask? Now, here's where the season comes in. Think about what is happening outside right now. Winter was cold and dry, but spring brings warmth and moisture. Snow melts, the ground becomes damp, nature softens. Think of a muddy field. In Ayurveda, spring is the Kapha season, which means those same qualities, heavy, moist, and slow, increase in your body as well. So if winter already brought heavier foods, more rest, warming stews, comfort meals, and those habits continue unchanged into spring, kapha begins to accumulate. And you might recognize this in small ways. Maybe your digestion is slower. Maybe you wake up with congestion. Maybe your motivation feels a little lower. Or you feel slightly puffy. And Ayurveda describes this with a very simple principle. Same plus same makes more of the same. Heavy foods during a heavy season creates more heaviness. So let's pause for a moment and summarize. Kapha is the energy of earth and water. It gives structure and stability. But in spring, it naturally increases. And if digestion and lifestyle stay heavy from the winter, the body can start to feel slower and more congested. Here's something that I find fascinating. Most people experience this every spring without even realizing. Because suddenly, you don't fancy stews anymore, right? The rich soups that felt comforting in January, now they feel a bit heavy. Large portions feel unnecessary. You start craving something lighter, maybe fresher, maybe a little sharper. And that shift is natural. Traditionally, spring was actually a scarce season. Stored foods were running out. The fresh harvest wasn't there yet. And the first foods available are usually the bitter greens, the dandelions and the nettles. Nature is moving from building to clearing. And if we listen carefully, the body often does the same as well. If you follow that instinct, lighter meals, smaller portions, more greens, then kapha begins to move. But if we ignore that shift and continue with the heavy foods, cakes, pastries, large dinners, sweet vegetables, then stagnation deepens. And this brings us to something I mentioned earlier. Why do puffiness, congestion, and allergies often appear in spring? Ayurveda says that winter allows kapha to accumulate, but spring warmth begins to melt it. So what is stored during the winter starts to loosen and move. This is why early spring often brings congestion, puffiness, sluggishness. And Ayurveda actually sees this moment as the ideal time to help the body clear what is not longer needed. The traditional Ayurvedic spring cleanses happen right at that transition from winter to spring to support the body becoming lighter again. Have you ever thought about connecting hormones to the season? Kapha, with its watery qualities, governs the fluids and tissue building in the body. So when kapha accumulates, it doesn't only affect digestion or the lungs. It also shows up in the reproductive system, which is also of kapha nature. So you might notice fluid retention before your period, puffiness in the face, the hands around the ankles, breast tenderness, or a sense of pelvic heaviness or dull pain. From an Ayurvedic perspective, conditions involving tissue growth or fluid accumulation like fibroids carry kapha qualities. Endometriosis often includes inflammatory aspects as well. But when there's stagnation or tissue accumulation, kapha is also involved. Now, this doesn't mean kapha causes these conditions, but during kapha season, like spring, for example, symptoms linked to heaviness may feel more noticeable, just like moisture increases in nature. And understanding this seasonal pattern allows you to respond differently. So, what actually helps balance kapha? Remember, kapha is heavy, cool, and moist. So it benefits from opposite qualities: warm, light, dry, stimulating. Food is one of the easiest places to start. Cold foods increase kapha, as we said earlier. That means things like your beloved smoothie, cold milk, yogurt straight from the fridge, overnight oats with milk, large raw salads, or cold cereals for breakfast. In spring, these can quickly increase heaviness. Warm food supports digestive fire, and kapha needs digestive fire. Think about it like this. The kapha time of the day runs from 6 to 10 in the morning. It's important. During this time, digestion is naturally slower because of the slow and damp qualities. So if breakfast is cold and sweet, heaviness increases. But if you choose something warm and maybe gently spiced, circulation begins to move. Think simple things: warm stewed apples with cinnamon and ginger, spiced porridge, scrambled eggs with greens and black pepper, or ginger tea instead of iced drinks. Spices are your allies in spring. Ginger, black pepper, mustard seeds, turmeric. They create heat, and heat melts kapha. Spring is the time for activation. Kapha doesn't melt with more comfort. It melts with warmth. That means brisk morning walks, a stronger yoga practice with twists and back bends, or practicing Surya Namaskar at a faster pace, sweating once a day. Kapha either accumulates or it moves. Let's summarize again for a moment. Spring increases kapha. If heaviness has built up during winter, you may feel slower or more congested. Balancing kapha is not about restriction, it's about warmth, stimulation, and rhythm. Warm food, movement, daily structure. So kapha is not something to fight. Kapha is the part of you that gives stability, loyalty, and endurance. It allows you to hold everything together. But in spring, that steadiness can quietly tip into heaviness. So if you feel slower, puffier, or less motivated right now, it may simply mean the season has changed. And when you understand the qualities at play, something beautiful happens. You stop blaming yourself and you start responding. Warmth instead of cold, movement instead of stagnation, rhythm instead of willpower. Spring isn't asking you to do more. It's asking you to melt what has become too dense and to move forward with steadiness. Thank you so much for listening to Rooted in the Seasons. If you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe or follow Rooted in the Seasons on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. That way, new episodes land automatically for you. And if you'd like more support between episodes, you can download my free guide, my 5 quick Ayurvedic fixes from scattered to steady, and join my Sunday Read newsletter. You'll find the links in the show notes. And if something in today's episode resonated, I genuinely love to hear from you. You can connect with me on Substack, or even better, drop me an email. I always read and answer them. Until next time, stay rooted in the seasons. Bye-bye.